behalf of the White Island Realtors, I'm very proud to introduce Bree from Title Guaranty, and if you want to introduce.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for welcoming us into your home. Anytime we step in front of you, we want to make sure we're always providing you value, whether it's in person or virtually. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us for an unfortunate yet important topic, seller impersonation. So I'm very happy we have our regional senior vice president, Matt Takata, and birthday trackers. So be careful. You watch that. Escrow officers, Laurie Medeiros, Mike Nagai, Tracy Yamaguchi, and Meredith Schwartz, and also our entire team back at Title Guarantee Hilo. Thank you so much for your continued support. And we really like a good informal presentation. So as Matt goes through his slides, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop it into the chat or to talk about it, or if, unfortunately, if you have any experiences or scenarios that you have encountered, now's the time where we kind of want to really keep it engaging. But without further ado, I'm going to hand it on over to Matt. Thank you so much.
Thank you, yeah, so every so often I go to these title conventions. You guys have like Inman and NAR and all that. We have title conventions, not the most exciting convention to attend. You talk about the changes to endorsement 105.1. Doesn't really get the blood flowing, but I attend anyway. But I went to one late last year. That was actually the presentation was one of the more fascinating, actually the most fascinating presentation that I ever attended at a title convention, and it had to do with seller impersonation. And what the guy did, the presenter, he was just curious, and he wanted to see what it took to really impersonate a seller and the tools that are out there. And I think he went kind of far, because in my mind I was like, man, this guy, I think if this gets out, he might have crossed the line. But anyway, let me go through it. He attacked it from a real technical standpoint. So he talked about the dark web and all the tools that you can get from the dark web to help a crook or impersonator pull off the crime, which is just unbelievable. All I know is they got way more tools than we do. The good people, we really rely on honesty and honor and all that. But man, the crooks have all the tools at their disposal. Good ones too. Like, wow, that would be great. So seller impersonation fraud. So the way the guy started was he wanted to talk about kind of in different phases of what he needed to do. So the first phase was really prep. And of course, his main goal was operational security, meaning you don't get caught, right? You're doing something very legal, you don't get caught. But from what he's telling us, it's no big deal, because there's so many tools that are really almost like Snapchat. You guys familiar with Snapchat? Well, as soon as you open it, the thing disappears. It's ephemeral, I think it's called, the term. And so what he's doing on the dark side of the web is looking for a lot of these tools. So virtual VPN client, which you can set to wherever location you're not. So you could be in Hawaii, but your VPN would show an IP that you're in Colorado or Miami or somewhere else. So he started with that. Virtual desktop. He said he uses Chasm because Chasm is also ephemeral. So if you want it, if someone was on your heels, you can make it all disappear with no trace back to you. So Chasm was something he pointed out. There's many others, but I'm going to just again keep it very at a high level and not so much techie. Email accounts are easy because Google and all that stuff, you can set up accounts virtually all you want, name it whatever you want, and you're good. Credit cards, stolen or otherwise, there's actually a lot of dark web credit cards that you can apply for that has no source back to who owns the card. But he said most of these crooks, they just steal credit cards anyway, so they can charge. Because a lot of these subscriptions that he gets into needs you need some sort of payment method, right? And then so credit cards, he found some on the dark web that he didn't have to steal, that he could actually charge to, that would not come back to him or could not be traced to him. And the last bit was data gatherer. He needed a data gatherer app. And on the dark web, man, if you're willing to pay a little bit of money, you can find probably everyone in here. You can find the same. You can find passwords. You can find date of birth. You can find SS numbers. You can even find driver's license with picture. Can you imagine? Yeah. So anyway, I'm not here to scare you. I just want to kind of set it up. So he talked about the prep. Next is the hunt. And obviously, as you know, the hunt recently up to now has been vacant land, right? It's the easiest. You just laying fallow. Um, without any activity, if you want to try and seal it, you don't have to schedule inspections or surveys or anything else. So the target was really vacant, undeveloped land, and he he kind of targeted an older owner. So not a corporation, not an LLC, not a trust, but an individual and someone who's a little bit older because he said he's a techie guy. So he said the chances of an older person clicking on some sort of clickbait stuff and gaining information is very high. So on the dark web, older generation folks have a lot more information on the dark web than younger people because younger people are a little bit more astute. They don't click on all these cheap cruises or cheap business care in a fair class tickets and all that stuff. Mortgage free, obviously, because you don't have to deal with a payoff or contact anyone. The less recent conveyance activity, the better, because obviously, if it's recently conveyed and the owner's kind of aware, making plans, there's a lot of focus on that. And then the individual ownership was rather uncommon. So you don't look for the Jack Smith or the Bob Jones or any of those. So the one that actually he targeted was in Colorado and the owner was Chester James Reed III. And it was like, that's perfect because, like when he opens bank accounts, because he knows he's a third, he can put list like beneficiary the fourth. He had it kind of all figured out that, he could dupe like the banks and stuff if he needed a bank account, which eventually he will need. So his target was really Chester James Reed III. And so he picked that lot and he started. Why don't you go to the next slide? Thank you. And then so anyway, he came up with a budget. So up to that point, this was his budget. He found his target. He had bought some dark web credit cards, 5 of them for $10 each, for $50. A lot of it was like trial. Like you sign up for a thing, you get 1 week free or whatever. So he knew he could execute his scheme within that time frame. So a lot of them were like free trials. So the VPN with burner email addresses didn't cost him anything, was during a trial period. Gmail for account management, again, zero. The Chasm virtual desktop was again one of the trial periods of free. He had this digital ocean hosting, which hosts his information, but again, it's ephemeral. So when he wants to get rid of it, it's gone, done. And he paid 25 for that. The white pages he uses for searching when he wanted to search the names, Roy Dolwith or whatever, Richie Henderson. And he goes, it was really $14, but because he was on a 5-day trial, it was $1. So that's how so up to this point, he found a target for $76. That was his out-of-pocket expense. Okay, JD, next one. So the hook. Start building your Google account to look like Chester James Reed III. His started to build like a whole area where he could kind of falsify that he is who he claims to be and not his real person. The dark web information was just mind-boggling. He said for $500 he could get all this information, including SS number, date of birth, driver's license, photographs, and even his driver's license. He could get the version with a photograph on it, Chester's photograph. Email and password account. I'm sorry, email and account passwords. He had it, but you don't want to play with that because when something you play with somebody's account, it sends a notification that someone's toying around your account. So he said that you leave alone, but he had it. I mean, all on the dark web. So pretty interesting stuff. The bait, he used the site Wix to set up a site for his property. It looked fantastic. Actually have a Wix actually gives you a programmer to design your site, 2 designers, in fact. He said, no, I don't need one. And then it also comes with a free domain, so you don't have to get roydolwith.com or richardhenderson.com. This is a scary part. He also set up Google numbers and voice emulators. So he was kind of joking because Chester Reed sounds English. So he kind of had his guy kind of speaking in the English accent, like Chester, and so much so that the people he started to do it would kind of reply in kind of an English accent. The property that he looked at was probably, I think he said it was a 225. I think it was assessed at 225,000. And he goes, you always list it at below market, below assessed value. So he actually created this website I ended up putting on fizbo.com or somewhere. And for 196, five realtors called him and says, hey man, you're selling it too cheap. Go with me and I will get you 40,000 more or 30,000 more. And now he had access to MLS. So now the information is pretty wide, right? And now this is the part I'm thinking, man, you are going to go to jail. But anyway, so they list the property at 220, and eventually a cash offer comes in for 210. And then the person who brought the buyer in was the same person that listed it for him. So he goes, hey, you might have a double end there in this thing. Yeah, sure, go, whatever. So anyway, so we're here and I'm saying, man, stop already because you're crossing over.
But he's doing this real time.
Yeah. But so I'm not sure. I think he's repenting right now because he may have had some knocks on his door. I'm not sure. But anyway, so now the real part, he needed to falsify a notary. So he found a notary, and he says you never find a notary in the same place where the property is because the chance of someone like Hilo, if found a Hilo notary, they might know who the owner is, distant relative. You know how that small town goes, yeah. So he found the notary. All the notary information was on public record. So like he didn't need commission number, he didn't need Citra to where they're registered. It was all public record. So he orders the stamp from a stamp company. $22 comes in 2 days. FedEx for the notary stamp. They don't vet at all, these stamp companies. And the funny thing was he showed us the person. He showed the document that he got it from. He showed the AG's site that he got more of the notary information from. He shows us the stamp, and somebody in the audience raises their hand and says, I used to work with that guy. 6 years I worked with him. And then so the guy, is he still a notary? He goes, yeah, he's still working. He's just, I mean, wild. And then you open escrow, and that's getting a bit harder. I think when I heard his presentation, I think he had said that they had to do it twice because the first one saw it suspicious and kicked it out. Second one kind of went through. So now his budget was the same $76, but now he incurred dark web data information, which he paid 500, and the Wix creator site, which was $17 to create his fall website for the property. So now he's $593 into this scam. I think shortly after this, he kind of admits to the realtor that, look, this is all a shibai, and so he pulls out, but then he talks to a lot of people who have been scammed to get their story. And so he kind of finishes his story. So the bail part is, of course, now he's ready to sign. And then so he always comes up with an excuse. Oh my God, my wife fell. She's, in a coma. I'm in the hospital. I'm with her. I don't care about this transaction. If it cancels, it cancels. I cannot leave her side. I can't believe this is happening to us right now. Of course, he closes out. Send the documents to me because he has a fake notary stamp, all that. So, and we hear that a lot, right? Oh, I live in here, but I'm in Europe because my wife is struggling with cancer. I mean, that's so common, and we know that's fraud. In Hilo, one of the best filters was when somebody claimed they're in Japan, but they're working in Vietnam. We knew already they had forged the apostille or the embassy acknowledgement. They had forged it. They knew they could forge it. So everything would show that it came from the US Embassy in Vietnam. So stuff like that. I mean, we kind of see the trends, but send document to me is a real telltale sign because we know they can forge the document at that point. Forge a signature, forge the notary. So the cash out with his stolen information, he sets out a bank account. So he has now the guy's ID, he has all this information. He sets up a bank account. And then so the escrow company wires him the money. And from the bank account, he puts it into a dark web Bitcoin exchange. And that kind of Actually, the money shows as if it was in Chester's name. But what happens is on the dark web, they put it through his Bitcoin exchange, and what comes out is money that's untraceable for a fee of 10%. So if you send in 200,000, your fee is going to be 20 grand. But you got absolutely clean money, untraceable back to you or the purported owner. And then the pay to play, as I mentioned, is 10%. 10% of the funds is their fee to wash it. And then at the end of the day, he said, I'm not going to walk into the bank, pick up a check, and they have my face on the camera. So you hire a money mule. Found out that you can hire a money mule. I'm not sure in Hawaii, but on the mainland, between $3,000 and $5,000. You can find someone to go pick the check up and meet you somewhere or drop it off somewhere. And of course, if they get tagged, they go, oh, I met this guy online and I love him so much. And he asked me for this one favor. You've heard those stories. It's all part of the mule kind of vernacular. So the cash out is easy, pretty easy. There's people to help you. So if you look at his total expenditure, $593 came up for the setup. The notary stamp was $22. He had to wire the funds off of this into the washing, the dark web washing Bitcoin exchange. Cost him $25. He got 210 from the sale because I think he had set it up so buyer. I think this is all surmised. If not, he would be in jail. But he had the buyer pay all the closing costs. He took 210. The dark web washing was 21,000. The mule was 5,000. So his net gain from this purported scheme, 183,360. Not bad, huh? Not a bad take. So I guess a lesson, this is mainly for you guys. Don't step in. We step in it too, but don't step into it. Don't raise your hand and say, hey, I can help you out. I'm gonna make you richer than you think you are. Don't step in it. Because if it's too easy, if it seems too obviously like you hit the lottery, you're probably dealing with fraudsters. Please Kokuo and escrow insist that we use an authorized notary. And that's a hard one sometimes because you got some CEO somewhere that said, why should I see one of your notaries when my secretary sitting outside my desk is a notary? That doesn't fly anymore. We don't make that exception anymore. Authorized notary is the only way we can be sure to a high level that the signature and the notary is authentic. So if someday your client comes like, oh, your Title Guaranty is requesting us to use their mobile notary or whatever, please kokuo and empathize and help us out here. As I mentioned earlier, the crooks have endless more resources than we do. I didn't go through all of the different programs that he looked at or used or suggested, but there is just a ton out there on the dark web that you can get to do almost anything you need them to do on the financial side, on opening accounts and keeping you anonymous. And then this is kind of happening this year going forward. With the video and voice image emulation, they're not only targeting vacant land anymore, they're looking at condos, they're looking at homes with HOAs. Because with the voice emulation, they can almost emulate the person's voice. And they can order the gates to be open so that an inspector can go in. If a server needs to go, they'll call someone and say, hey, can you open up? And I could sound like anyone from anywhere. And all they need right now with MSS, no, not MSR, Vasa is a Google product. They only need three seconds of a video or 3 seconds of your voice to emulate you. And then so these voice emulators can, you can take on these different personas and order things, and that was a scary part because no one wanted to show up, right? You got to order a survey or termite, you don't want to, but now you can emulate both image and sound over the phone. They still don't want to meet in person, obviously, so that's always a good defense. And the other thing with the video emulation, they're not that good yet. So actually, I mean, the sound and look is great, but it doesn't follow the person's face. So if they turn their head, the image stays. So that's how you can tell if it's fraud. If they're using a AI emulation app. So no, I don't mean to scare you guys, but it's getting harder. It really is going to get harder, and it's going to probably affect more properties that you work with than we have in the last few years.
Where did, in that whole scheme that he was running, where did the title report or preliminary title search?
Oh, it shows everything as Chester Reed, the third, and
Did he order a title? report?
yeah. Because they dupe the escrow officer, right? Usually, and then
Oh,
Mhm. So it goes into escrow. But now we kick a lot out because something's wrong, right? We try to reach them, or not. We use MyTech to kind of vet the addresses. I mean the IDs and stuff, and that sometimes comes back as a fail. So we resign. We'll kick them out. Now I heard MyTech is partnering with Clear, the airport, and so it'll get probably even more precise. Yeah. So right now they're only relying on the validity of the back and front of the ID, but I think eventually there'll be more facial recognition that comes into the validation process. And then so Brie, I think sent you you guys might already have it. Or she will oh yeah, she have it right here in front of you. So just a little bit about the seller impersonation fraud. But yeah, it's a I remember when escrow was just simply clearing the seller's title and making sure the monies are good. And then our closing was really to transfer. Now we have this wide net to make sure the transaction is safe. And that in some ways is more complicated than our basic duties that we've always kind of had. So you guys have any questions? Yes.
Sure. DG, because this actually happened to me a couple months ago. I was working with these buyers. They found a lot on the MLS 19th Avenue. And it was listed by one of our members.
Mhm.
And the seller was in Japan. So I'm just telling everybody that is a red flag. We have to be careful. So anyways, I was working with Luke and everything was fine. My client was getting a vacant land loan, so they went through a whole appraisal process and all that, getting their final loan approval. And then one day, Luke called and said, we have to close this escrow immediately. I think what happened was the person went to an embassy or consulate and didn't have the identification, something red flagged it. And so that's the first time I've ever experienced a cancellation based on a fraudulent seller. And so the other thing is I noticed a lot of them are single people.
Yes.
They don't have other people on the title, although I did experience a phone call the other day. I knew it was a scammer. I sent it off to somebody else to investigate. And it was a husband and a wife, and they used the tactic about the hospital thing. And said, oh, my wife's in the hospital and I can't leave, and I'll just have the papers notarized here.
A lot of times they're like in London. My wife is having cancer treatment in London. But usually individual is easiest because you double the effort, right? The more people you have on title. So
thanks for watching out for us.
yeah. We hope that you can catch it. Or you guys have a means to catch it earlier. Like, so they gave suggestions, real obvious ones that, you check the addresses and then all the addresses you have, send a notice and then, but, now they're changing the addresses, a lot of times. Fortunately, we have small HOAs here, relatively small. So a little bit harder. I don't know about the HPPA stuff because those are pretty big. But they actually go try and change it at the tax office too, assessment address. They change it there because they know we're gonna go get that address and send a note. So we end up asking the tax office, when was the last time the owner changed addresses? Within the last few months, we know the chance of it being fraudulent is high, yeah?
What requirements does the tax sale office have?
Nothing. You just send a form, you fill out a form, send it in, they'll change the address. There's no vetting.
Just go in and I take the TMK and I say, wants to change his mailing address to another one.
Yeah.
And I just.
It's as simple as that, yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. So that's why for a while we're doing that. We're actually relying on that address, but now we cannot because we don't know if someone went in and changed it just before so we ask them when. And then if it's they 2010 and we look, they bought it in 2010. Okay, that's good. That's a good address. Yes.
Other ways besides just seller fraud, I recently joined Real Greater, which is a NAR
Mm-hmm.
program that helps you with your
Mm-hmm.
digital presence. So I was posting on my Facebook page for my real estate site. Somebody hacked into my Facebook page,
Mm-hmm.
which then, even though I had Norton and LifeLock, they then fraudulently loaded 27 dark websites on my computer
Wow.
and hacked into my phone.
They're tracking you now, right?
Yeah, and so I had $800 stolen out of my
Oh, too
checking
bad.
account.
Yeah.
I've had repeated over and over and over. Once your IP address is on the dark web,
Mm-hmm.
it's
All over,
always
yeah.
on the dark web.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like every other day I get
Mhm.
another notification for somebody trying to change my Facebook password and, you know, thank God they have that
Yeah.
authentication. But that's how they got into me through real estate.
Yeah. Oh, too bad.
It's just
Uh-huh.
insane.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, Real Greater's trying to help me. I
Yeah.
can take my.
Oh, no.
This.
Seen that, yeah.
Completely.
Yikes.
It's just, and then, oh, they got into my phone, so they were actually listening in on my phone.
Oh, my goodness.
But
You should be teaching this course.
I thought it was calling the bank because it was on the back of.
Yeah, don't believe that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't the bank.
Oh, shit. Yeah, they mimic everything.
Thing is her, I'm still going through it.
Yeah.
But
Too
you know
bad.
something, what is the dark web? Can you ask yourself that? Why don't we ask our politicians that? Why don't we ask our governors that? Why don't we ask the police that?
They all know what the dark web is. It's just IPs that are not in the US. For us, our dark web is in Russia. You know, a lot of those servers are in Russia or somewhere else. Non-US IPs, yeah.
You can only trace it.
So far.
Trace it.
Oh, too bad.
That's it.
Did they make you feel crazy, like you're going nuts?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. 87,000 disappeared out of my work.
Oh.
87,000,
Yes, it's
and I'm crazy.
monetary gain. I mean, it's based on, they're not trying to like ruin my life, you know, I think they want money, right?
Oh, yeah.
The ultimate.
They want money, yeah.
No, they want more than that.
They're
They want your identity.
Nigerians, or that, you know,
Yeah.
that prince.
So look at if you guys are bored at night and not watching Korean soap operas or whatever, watch Google Yahoo Boys. And they're a new Yahoo Boys. They're a Nigerian syndicate, and they just openly flaunt their wealth, their wares. They all in Lagos, Nigeria. They all drive Bentleys and Lamborghinis, and so it's not only real estate. I mean, they're trying to scam everyone.
So, question, do you have a husband?
Grassy,
Yeah.
no,
Oh.
no, but my sister's a co-signer on all my
Mhm.
accounts because we're both single. So we thought that's a safe thing. So then they started trying to hack
Hack
her
her.
account.
Mm.
So she had to close her bank
Mhm,
account.
mhm.
I've had the same bank account for 40
Yeah.
years and I had to close it and start a
So,
new one. And it, I mean, it's just endless. It keeps going on.
Yeah.
Every day it's like, okay, what's today?
So there's
The bank, doing with more security too.
They are.
they're trying, but
I think.
and their lobby is stronger than our lobby, so
Oh, really?
no. I'm being sarcastic. But you know, the other thing is we used to see a lot of buyer impersonation. But we don't see that anymore because there's not much money because they're only trying to steal someone's initial deposit, right? So they,
I just had that recently.
yeah. So
Several other realtors did too, day rate property. I went over there, showed the property, you know, did the listing, did a really good listing. The day rates contacted me. Sorry, we're not selling our, I said, yeah, but if they posed as husband and wife, but in reality it was brother, sister. And so they're like, oh my God, I read your MLS and I want to buy the property. I'll let you know when we want to buy it. We'll let you sell it. But it's really easy.
Yeah.
They send me IDs and everything in California. The thing to look for, the California IDs are easily made, is there must be a middle name. The fake IDs don't have a middle.
So the buyer fraud is they're trying to just bring something into escrow, send a fraudulent cashier's check or something, and then cancel. So they're hoping to trade bad money for good money. They're hoping that we'll wire because our funds are good going out, bad money coming in.
We should implement in our defense in this change.
I think you just gotta use your spidey senses. I think a lot of people don't use their spidey senses. Yeah, because we talk a lot about a lot of situations. And I think in this market, if anything falls in your lap, you gotta be suspicious. Nothing falls in your lap. I got this cash buyer, 30-day close, $6 million or whatever. It doesn't, you gotta be suspicious, right? So. But yeah, tough one. There's some tools that you guys could employ that helps. Like MyTech is we rely on that. It's pretty good. Yeah. MITEK.
I have a question, how safe is WhatsApp?
Oh my God, I don't even want.
The dark web also.
Yeah, no, I don't
You know,
don't
it's
even.
in there. Yeah, I lost $8,000 in Bitcoin through WhatsApp, and the Bitcoin processor, the guy got indicted because he robbed a lot of people. But it was, how in the heck did they get into my phone? It was through my email. Gonna find out my email, my number, and everything about me is in the dark web. Why? My husband, I assume, used my email to do naughty things online.
Oh no. So WhatsApp is good. Like
If you go there, those sites, you will be automatically put in the dark web.
my friends, international friends, like WhatsApp because we can treat pictures almost like AirDrop, Apple AirDrop. I said, sorry, man, I don't even want to go on that. I don't want to load that app on my phone. So I miss all of their kitty pictures and all that, but that's okay. Yes.
Can you walk us through, like, say we're using Mike, Lori, Tracy, or Meredith? And I mean, if you want to use a vacant land example, but what's your procedure? We've opened escrow. Are you vetting these people? Thank you.
We FedEx, as long as the address of the seller is a street address, we send it FedEx. A letter asking them to confirm that their property is the sale property, and again, we don't use the address from the property tax office. We have a system that pulls up an older address for the seller. We do my tech to confirm their IDs. That's the first two steps. But taking it back, as agents, you need to realize that it does start with you, because I've had actual sellers, owners of the property, that caught wind that a fraudster was trying to sell their property. And they're upset with whoever listed that property. How did it get listed? How did they sign a contract with a fraudulent person? So it's kind of a team effort here, and it does start with you as the listing agents, and then it comes to escrow. We do the second, trying to catch it.
And a lot of people earlier on had the idea, I'm gonna let escrow, I'll just write it up, I'll let escrow catch it. But in the meantime, your reputation gets trashed. Oh yeah, I had it with this person.
There was 4 or 5 other realtors. You're the one we tried to open the escrow with that property with the Derek, and she caught wind of it too. They called her as well, and we had to work together as a team to, kind of find out they're not selling their land, and they leased it to the neighbor, which that was a good thing that only came out of that. He's happy. Yeah.
And fraudsters, I think they have this board that when they have some success, they go ding 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 ding, and then they tend to swarm. So they have one that Hilo property they can take maybe further than anywhere else. They'll swarm around Hilo thinking that there's a opportunity to defraud someone, or there might be a weak link in maybe our title system that they can sneak in. Yes.
So back to Lori's point, I mean, I've caught wind of these people, and I told Brianna, I just call them out. I said, you know what? I think you're a fraudulent seller, and I'm reporting you to the authorities right now. What advice do you have us if we're starting this investigation and we think they are fraudulent? What should we say to them?
The less you say, sometimes the better, because what you say, they're picking up your voice too, right? To emulate. So they could call your friends at that point and emulate your voice. Yes, but yeah, we just hang up and we don't engage. Some people say, I want to tell them you and this, whatever you guys do, but they're tracking your voice. It's all being recorded. So
I have a idea though, and I've been doing this because all I've gotten since I've been at Remax is fraud. text them, can I have your ID? I need to see some form of, 2 forms of ID.
Mhm.
We need to see your proof of funds, of course. Someone actually sent me, and I showed it to you, I think, and my mortgage broker. They were wanting to buy like $24 million property, and this is when I was on Oahu. And I was working from my leg in the hospital, continuously working. And I was like, oh, that'd be awesome. I could take a vacation. But it was fraud. He sent me a bank statement that had like hundreds of millions of dollars in it. And it was a legitimate, looked like a real bank statement.
Sometimes that's just the proof of funds. You look, it's all round numbers, yeah. So you see,
Yeah, they.
yeah, all like round numbers. Oh, this is not a good one.
And just to add on that, you wanna be careful because they're picking up tips along the way. So they're gonna ask, well, why are you saying that it's fraud? Why? I had one fraudster that went as far as, because once it's determined fraud, like Matt said, we just still sign it. We send the resignation from escrow and that's it. But he kept after. Why are you saying it's fraud? Why are you saying it's fraud? I'm gonna personally sue you unless you give me 3 reasons.
Mm.
3 reasons why you're stating this. So don't get intimidated by the fraudsters. Don't give them hints on how you're finding out their.
It's like honing his skills.
Exactly.
There's an app and a program, it's a phone tracker. I believe when someone's calling you or talking to you, you can actually record them, but you can also look at your map, the world, and see exactly where they're sitting.
Mm.
I had someone sending me some naughty dick pics and I didn't appreciate it. And I was like, where is this? And I found him. He was in a halfway house.
Mm.
Yeah, he was a guardian over a halfway house, sitting up in his room doing those things. And so I called the owner of the company and let them know that's what was going on. And I forwarded them all the pics.
But you know, a lot of times you trace the call, and it always goes through South Africa, Eastern Bloc countries, and ultimately most of them end up in Russia. So I mean, what you're gonna do? You know, you see something bouncing around like that. At the end of the day, you just don't know where it is.
The 2 people that wanted David's property.
Yeah.
We were talking about the seller impersonation.
Yeah.
Become a buyer, stuff like that. But just when you go a little deeper into the transaction,
Mm-hmm.
can you talk about, when we talk about wiring funds
Uh-huh.
into escrow? I was
Yes,
involved in the
yes.
transaction representing the seller,
Mm-hmm.
but the buyer's initial deposit came in, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow the final buyer settlement amount got hijacked.
Hmm.
And
Usually they hijack the email account or the phone number because they're sending them different wiring instructions. So, you know, we always tell them, you know, I've been with Title Guaranty, 38 years now. We've never changed our bank or bank account number. So, you know, when you get these emails that says, you know, something's wrong with our trust account, can you send it here instead? That's how they divert the funds. It's not so much it gets hijacked on the way, and they convince someone to send it somewhere else. So that's probably the most common form. Do you have any other scenarios that?
No, but I did come across one recently, an agent advised me, the fraudster actually did call the gated community on Kona side, vacant land. Got her name and the photographer's name on their security list as to be okay to enter in. This is a gated over $1 million vacant lot property, so you can imagine the value of the homes in there. And the fraudster was able to go that far. So
So a lot of people aren't watching, they're not watching built stuff. So like right now, condos in Las Vegas is getting hit real hard because they figure out the association. They know who the association, who to call there, you know. So I think it's a matter of time before they start trying to hit developed land in Hawaii. They haven't yet. We haven't heard of two, aside from, you know, when HOA to get through the HOA is hard because over here the HOAs are so small. They know all the owners, right? But we figure with the voice emulation, they can figure out that, hey, this sounds like the owner. And so anyway. Yes, go ahead.
Are they only trying to do wired funds, or have you had experiences where they're like, no, we want you to send a check to this address?
You know, no, usually it's wire.
Wire.
Because check in the mail time we can stop. There's a lot of remedial, you know, options that we can take. The other thing that's interesting, another red flag is if someone calls you and says, I'm going to close on this escrow, but I want you to know I'm only going to deal with the cashier's checks. That's a red flag in itself because now you know they found out a way to forge cashier's checks. So all cashier's checks is also a red flag. When they say that, you know, chances of there being
You
a
talk of Bitcoin yet in real estate?
yeah, we can do
Is there
Bitcoin.
talk?
Very rare. I mean, we've closed with Bitcoin. We did close already, but the problem is hard to find parties to agree. Like the buyer says, I got a ton of Bitcoin. The seller goes, I don't want that. You know, I want cash. So usually they end up converting the Bitcoin in the exchange to cash and close. We had one where we closed all Bitcoin, which is it's not hard. It's not hard. It's just it's not a hard deal. It's just, you know, we don't have a Bitcoin exchange. None of the title companies underwriters have Bitcoin exchange. So they do the exchange between the two, and we just credit the statement. Obviously, they got to they got to come with cash because you don't want Bitcoin. Most people don't want Bitcoin, so got to pay the attorneys, got to pay commissions, pay off of mortgage. They're not going to accept Bitcoin, so that they need to wire in, and then we close from there. Not hard though. It's just finding the right parties to want to transact that way. That's to me the hardest thing. Every month I get 3-4 calls. Oh, we close Bitcoin, but you know, let us know when you find like-minded parties, which is very, very rare. One day it won't be, but right now it's very rare. Yes.
And you guys saved my buyer a couple of years ago. One of the agents listed a property, Reed's Island, $500,000. And we were like 2 days away from closing. And my buyers were going to wire the rest that day. The agent had a passport. I guess the guy was out in the country, you know, working or whatever it was, but you guys caught that, so thank you very much. They were very angry that the other agent wasn't going to the FBI and she in such a large amount of money. So, but thank goodness.
I don't know if they do anything, you know, because we report every fraud to the FBI. If it's here, we report it to HPD. But in fact, I finally got one of the earlier ones. I actually got a call back from an FBI agent 1.5 years after, though. And he goes, "Do you remember this?" I said, "Yeah, of course. It's, you know, Apple Valley." We looked up the address. It was a laundromat because yeah, they're using a laundromat for upfront. And then so we had about our transaction was I think the wire would have been about 600 grand. And then so I was just wondering. I said, "Yeah, this person successful?" She goes, "Yeah." The biggest take was he duped, unfortunately, a senior out of like 500,000 or 600,000. His take to that point, they figured was about 1.7 million. Single person, they think in Canada, not in Apple Valley, California. So they track them, they just can't get them. I mean, they're so like I talk about the ephemeralness, you know, like this, how they can make things disappear, their tracks disappear. And that's too bad where the dark web really helps them. It really hurts us trying to, you know, report these things.
Is that the digital hosting you're talking about?
Yeah, that's all
So
that.
they-
Yeah, it's ocean. It's almost like being in the ocean. It's just, you can't track them all.
Sport, digital hosting.
Yes.
And you're gonna count, and then when you get your money, you just cancel that?
Yeah, you can almost vaporize it,
Okay,
right?
wow.
So there's no track back to you or to
That's
Chester.
disturbing.
Oh, it's all out there. That's what they're using to. Very common, very, very common. We just gotta be smarter and sometimes luckier, I think, maybe in some way. But thank you guys for this opportunity.
I want to ask, yeah, okay, so Eileen has some questions coming.
Oh.
Anybody out in Zoom land, if you have any questions, please either open up and yell or go ahead and chat them in. Looks like Eileen's ready to say something.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Brianna. Thank you for putting this on for us as a great hot topic today. I have a few questions, and for those of us that like numbers and stats, what is the frequency of these fraudsters happening? Like 1 out of 1,000, or what is the frequency? Because
1 out of 1,000 for sure. But it comes in, as I mentioned, it comes in waves. You know, I think they have a mild success, or they make more movement in one area. So it was funny because I was on Maui a couple years back, and they were hitting upcountry, Pukalani, that area. And then when you talk to the agents, they always, everyone's coming up with a story around that same time. So obviously they had a situation where they had some success, and they just swarmed to it. And so there's a lot, and now you don't hear anything.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
Big Island has a lot, but I would say what, 1 in 100 maybe we see it. 1 in 100 on average, and then it'll become like 1 in 10 maybe for a little while. Then go 1 in 100. And it's hard because we know what's in our land. So a lot of times we'll find a fraudster, but we'll have maybe 2 in Hilo, 1 in Kamuala, 1 in Kona, all kind of the same MO.
They're just
They
hitting.
try different things, but we don't know what's happening next door because obviously they're getting attempts there as well. So.
Yes. And so I'm very careful in my texts and emails with certain words to clients. Do you have any words that you know that are kind of like trigger words? Like I try not to email or text clients stuff like wire transfer, deposit, or
If they're
let's
tracking you, anything that alludes to closing, they will swarm because the closing is when the big money's transferred. So
money is moving.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we find that if all the fraudsters start swarming, it's usually they're picking up closing, recording, final funds, that kind of
That could, yeah,
words to.
careful with
And because if like as you mentioned, they're tracking you. They have apps on your, and they're just waiting. I mean, if you're just kind of chatting with friends, they're just waiting. And as soon as they see like closing final funds, zing, you get to the top of the list.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any recommendations or suggestions on any effective way for us to flag this from the beginning as listing agents? I know you discussed it, but could we, like, I think it was Lori who said, I can't see who's in the room with you, but um, if we take on a listing and I contact Lori and say, Lori, can you send me a prelim? And then you guys have your internal way. Is there a way that at that point we can contact a seller and say, hey, are you really you selling your property? We just want to confirm.
Yeah,
Or something
what I
that
heard was one of the best tactics was in Hilo, everyone's very close and you guys are very cordial with each other. Call the last agent and get the number from there. That usually is of course, if you're selling Mauna Kea Point, they're going to say, hold on, I'll call you back. They're not going to give you the number, but
Yeah.
for I know most of Hilo, you guys play ball well together. So I think that's one of the better tactics.
Okay, that's a good thing. And then yeah, I had a fraud person call me, and it was weird because it was my own phone number. Like
Oh,
they were calling me
they can
on
ghost
my
anything, so don't be
with their
surprised.
number, with my number, with that. But if we suspect fraud, what is the like the protocol? Who do we contact first besides our broker and escrow or whatever?
You
But
know
who?
what's hard because you can't track. There's no like national registry, so you almost just need to let your circle of influence know that you're dealing with a fraudster. So even for us, we have a big property database that we actually flag, but it doesn't prevent another person to come in and try and make an attempt on it. We know that there was previous attempts on it, but at the same time, every vacant lot in Hawaii is fair game.
Yeah.
So I think we just look at the situation as Lori pointed out. She kind of looks, and that's why we're trying to keep all of the fraud kind of analysis with the escrow officer team. Because in totality, the chance of catching it is better than if we had that fractured to other areas or other departments.
Is
Wow.
there even a
Thank
lot
you so
of
much for this
properties,
helpful
like
info.
say
No.
it's somebody older,
No. Yes.
I'll mention that just this last week, I had a member contact me. It was a house in Hilo I probably sold 10 years ago or something, and they thought I was the buyer's agent for that transaction, but they were tipping me off. They said, this is a for sale by owner right now, but we think that it's a fraudulent person. And so I looked it up and I knew who the buyer's agent was, and I said, it's not me you need to call. You need to call this other agent, and here's their phone number. So we did that.
Yeah. Oh,
What you were
good.
recommending.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. And then don't feel bad because some of the most savvy real estate investors that I know in Hilo got duped at one time or the other. So sometimes a good deal just says, "Oh my God, I'm going to invest in this thing," and they end up coming to escrow. They find out that it's a fraudster. So even the best of them gets duped. So
Question.
yes, go ahead.
It seems, I see that a lot of them are male. Are you seeing a lot of females?
We don't
too?
know. We don't know because with the voice emulation, right? But yeah, most of them sound like male. I mean, they sound like male, but we don't know. So I'm gonna tell you this funny story. So we have this outsourcing group in the Philippines, and then small group, and then so we had this. Actually flew over there to meet them all because I want to make sure that they're for real, right? And then so we're having this kind of roundtable icebreaker. What do you do before you came to this outsourcing group? And one was I worked for one of those sweatshops that commit fraud. And I said, "How long did it take you to realize that?" And he said, after probably the second day, she goes, "This is not right." And all she would do is sit in front of this screen. And she had like 3 or 4 screens in front of her. And her phone would ring, she would pick it up, and then this script would come up on her computer. And then it wasn't necessarily all real estate, it was elderly, it was all kinds of script. And she said her goal was to talk to the person until she got to the last step. And if she got to the last step, she stole money. And then so I said, "What do you do after 2 days?" She goes, "I panicked because I didn't know, in the Philippines, you don't know these guys, if you quit, they're gonna knock you off or not." So she was trying to figure out how can she exit without, risking her life. And I think she just didn't show up one day, but they never pursued her. But that's how easy, that's sophisticated. I mean, if they have an elderly person on the line, this early script comes up. Real estate, they want to divert a wire, this script comes up. And just bang all day long, just bang, 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 bang. So
Can I say, don't you find it kind of quite odd that every call center is either placed out of the Philippines? They have everyone's information, their medical ID, their birth certificates, they have everything in the Philippines. So I believe that there's a reason for this, that people are being replaced by commies. Come here, you already have an ID, the person's already passed away, but you got their ID. So you take up a life and it's called illegal. Illegal aliens. So there's a lot of that going on. Just be aware, because they're gonna take up somebody else's life. They could snuff you out and then take your place and then nobody ever know it.
My wife would know.
Yeah.
I think she would. If you showed up one day, I'd forgive me.
No, but you know what I'm getting at, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so the point I was trying to make is these scripts are pretty sophisticated, don't they? Yes.
Just a quick question, appreciating all the information that you're sharing and trying to eat those from everybody. When you wrap up this class today, were you going to have something that either the escrow officer could send out, you could send out that kind of outline some of the different sites that you said would be a good place to?
That guy who did the presentation that I sat in, that I was getting pretty sus after a while. Actually did his presentation is actually on YouTube, but it's been sanitized. There's none of this, I talked to her. But at least he'll tell you like all the different. So we can forward that link. It's on YouTube. You have that, I think, Brian. So we'll forward it to you guys. And
Watch Yahoo Boys.
well, Yahoo Boys is you see the fruits, right? This one kind of tells you how to do it. So Richie, if you stop calling me, I'm gonna be suspicious. What do you mean you're in Korea again?
Matt, we have a
Yes.
question via chat.
Okay.
And it kind of goes along with what you're just talking about. Is there or are there any computer cell phone software that protects your devices from fraudsters?
When I took my computer in for the 3rd time to get scrubbed, they took me off Norton and LifeLock and put me on Malware Bytes. And they have, if you have to pay, it's like 1/3 of the cost of Norton, but it has VPN. And so it's all these things that it protects. And you have to put in all the information, but according to the computer repair guy, that's what they found to be the best right now. Norton has too many loopholes.
So I'm heading actually we have a Title convention coming in November, And I'll ask them I'll try and get more resources on the protection side.
Yeah, that's what we need is protection.
But
Do you guys have LG in your home? Any LG appliances with Wi-Fi in it? Then you download the app to your LG appliance and then you can coordinate it, but that honestly app has already been scanned pre-existing with the store or the workers, and they can get into your Wi-Fi that way too. Firsthand,
I wonder about that.
firsthand, because how would they know my stove went off? I got a call, oh, we need to come out and check. Yeah, really? So, and then they leave the part at my gate. You know what? I took the whole thing apart. Besides the 100 million roaches that came with it. Yeah, they bring roaches in your home via
I
that
think
way.
they're listening to us right now.
they are, yes.
But there's.
One of their
there is
phones
a
is
home
being
that
tracked.
The government stated, he's gonna make sure everybody has a smart home. Why? They wanna hone in and listen into you.
They're probably listening. This guy's passing old news. We're okay. He's 2 generations ago, right?
I actually have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned a little bit about reporting. I had an incident myself a couple months ago and it was a text conversation and ended up searching and FCC had a reporting site. Does that sound, I hope I'm not going to them.
We still report it all, but we just don't expect a response. I mean, we just don't get a response. So
if anybody hears from Fort Barry, a builder from the mainland who's having cancer treatment, he was offering to pay me my fee plus $500 for the convenience, but I was going to have to pay the architect as well, because the architect, he can't accept checks, he can't accept money online. Yeah, I said, or pages.
But the government, they're great at tracking some things, but not at others. So they're changing our FinCEN laws come now. It could be March 2026, and the amount of information they want from buyers that are nested under a LLC or corporate is just crazy. I mean, it almost seems like the government's committing fraud because they're asking for account numbers and a lot of detailed information. So, but we're hoping that on the flip end they could maybe help us out. Monitor banks a little bit stronger. But we just are not there yet. But FinCEN is something that we'll be talking to everyone about, and hopefully I can get invited back and we'll talk. March 1st now. It was supposed to be December 1st of this year. And we meaning the American Land Title and other organizations lobbied really, really hard because it's egregious. It really is. It's the amount of information they want from buyers, and not only foreigners, they want from any LLC, trust, or corporation.
Right.
They want to know the individuals behind those, including where the source of funds. So it's going to be. We've had FinCEN, but it's been more like contact information. They've been tracking. Hawaii's been part of their geographic targeting area for Honolulu since 2016, 17. So. But this new amped up version is all property in the United States. So anything that transacts, any conveyance, no de minimis. So up to now, it's been 300,000 or more. Now it's any transfer. So it could be a quit claim. This reporting has to be made. Yeah, that's what I say, Richie. But doesn't work very well for me. But we'll get there. As we know more and. We're hoping that the government will come up with more, because right now there's no API that we can transfer the funds. So we still got to fill out a form, email it in, which is absolutely ludicrous in this day and age. So we're hoping by March they might have an API that will make it easier to report. Hopefully the other thing is, when you create an LLC, you need a FinCEN number. You actually got to file for a FinCEN number. We hope we can report that instead of the actual individual data that we're supposed to collect. So, but we're not there yet. So we'll see. We'll let you know.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. All you folks out there in Zoom land, don't see the rest of the TG crew. You heard a little bit from Lori, and you also don't see the awesome food. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, we look forward to next time, Matt.
All right.
Keep us
We'll
up
do
to
it.
date.
We'll do it.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
All right.